Hello everyone, this is Teacher Harold, your junior high school mathematics teacher. And in this video, I'll discuss week 4 lesson number 2 in Mathematics 9. And the title of this lesson is Writes Expression with Rational Exponents as Radicals and vice versa. So after you watch this video, you should be able to simplify expressions with rational exponents and write them as radicals and vice versa. Second, you should also you should be able also to evaluate expressions with rational exponents without using exponents or radicals. So in this module, you would be able to write the given expressions with positive exponents as expressions with radicals and vice versa. So let us now go to the set of illustrative examples. We have the first set of examples, and what we're going to do here is write the following expressions with rational exponents in the form x raised to m over n in radical form nth root of x to the m. So for our solution, let us take the following examples under this first set. Suppose we have 5x raised to 2/3. Now, to express this in radical form, following this formula, this given expression will become 5 times the cube root of x squared. And if we're going to clear the parentheses, this will become 5 times the cube root of x squared, which is our answer. Next, letter B. How about this one? Quantity 5x raised to 2/3. So this time, 5 is also being raised to 2/3, not just x. So what are we going to do? So how do we transform this to radical forms? So this is the answer. It becomes quantity cube root of 5x squared. Now, if we're going to simplify this further, now check what will happen to the radicand. We know that the radicand part here is the quantity 5x squared. So, in this particular part, you apply the power of a product law. So that the answer becomes cube root of the quantity 5 squared x squared. And we know that 5 squared will give us 25. So, the final answer for letter B is what? Cube root of 25x squared. Next, letter C. How about this one? Quantity 64a cubed b squared raised to 4/3. So basically, you apply the power of the product law here. So this will become what? Okay. Not necessarily power of the product law. So we apply this form, so we transform this immediately to radical form. So this will become the cube root. So you will notice that the denominator of the fractional exponents becomes the index of this radical expression. So it's cube root of the quantity 64a cubed b squared raised to the 4th. So yung numerator dito, naging exponent nung radicand of this entire expression, which is again 64a cubed b squared. Now, next, looking at the radicand part, we can apply here the power of the product law, wherein the exponent 4 is to be distributed to the exponent of each factor inside the parentheses. So, if we're going to simplify this further, we have cube root of 64 to the 4th, a cubed to the 4th, b squared to the 4th. And finally, the answer would be what? Cube root of 64 to the 4th, a to the 12, b to the 8. Now, we can no longer evaluate 64 to the 4th because of, if we're going to do this, we will obtain a very large value. Okay? So, pwedeng ganyan na lang ang sagot. And this is our answer to letter C. Next. Letter, okay. Letter D. About quantity 3x plus 1 raised to 5/4. So in radical form, this will become the 4th root of the quantity 3x plus 1 raised to the 5th. And this is your answer. Next, letter E. How about x raised to 4/7 multiplied by y raised to 3/7? Okay, so what we're going to do here is, okay, we factor out 1/7 from this fraction, and we will be doing the same thing. We factor out also 1/7 from this fraction also. So that the first step is, this will become x to the 4th times 1/7 y cube raised to y cube times 1/7. Now, you will notice that 1/7 is common, so we apply the power of the product law. This can be also expressed as what? Quantity x to the 4th y cube raised to the power of 1/7. And from this form, we can now transform this to radical form. Since the denominator here is 7, this will serve as the index of the radical expression. Therefore, our answer here is 7th root of the quantity x to the 4th y cube. At ito yung sagot. Okay, next. We go to letter F. We have 7. 7x to the 1/2 y to the 1/3. So, anong gagawin natin dito? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We make those fractions having different denominators like fractions. So, basically, we need to determine the LCD of 2 and 3, and that will give us actually 6. Okay? So, kailangan maging parehas ang denominator ng dalawang fraction. So, again, we make these two fractions like fractions, meaning fractions of the same denominator. And from here, the LCD is 6, basically the product of 2 and 3. So we will have a new numerator for the exponent of x and also for the exponent of y. So that is 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 1. So this will become 3. And for the exponent of y, the numerator here will be like this. 6 divided by 3 is 2 times 1. So it's 2. Yan. Next, since may common factor na sa 3/6 tsaka 2/6, which is, as we all know, is 1/6, ilalabas natin yan. Okay, so 7x raised to the 3rd times 1/6, then y squared times 1/6. Then here, ilalabas natin yung 1/6 applying the power of the product law. So this will become what? 7 times the quantity x cubed y squared raised to 1/6. And from this point, we can now transform this to radical form. So this will give us 7 times the 6th root of the quantity x cubed y squared, which is our answer. Okay? Next. G. How about this one? Quantity m plus n to the a raised to 2/b. So here we can simply apply the power of a power law by simply multiplying the inner and the outer exponent. So therefore, we can simplify this at this point as quantity m plus n raised to 2a/b. And from here, iraradical na natin to, no? So we express this in radical form. So what would be the answer? the bit root of the quantity m plus n raised to 2a. 2a is taken from the numerator of this rational exponent or expressions with rational exponents. And this is the answer. Yun. Then we go to letter H. Quantity a raised to the negative 2 plus b raised to the negative third power quantity m over n raised to m over n power. So what will happen here is, okay, now applying the negative exponent rule, so inside the parenthesis we will now have 1 over a squared plus 1 over b cubed. Quantity raised to m over n. And from here, we transform this to radical form. So this will become the nth root of the quantity 1 over a squared plus 1 over b cubed raised to the nth power. And this is your answer. Okay? Next. Letter I, we have quantity 8a raised to the negative 2/3, b raised to 1/3, raised to the negative 1/4. So here, what we're going to do here is, of course, we distribute negative 4 to the exponent of each factor inside the parentheses. So we have a raised to negative 1/4, a raised to the product of these two. Since they are both negative, they will become positive. So the product of the two exponent will become 2 over 12. So a raised to 12. Then followed by b raised to the negative 1 over 12. Then what comes next? So we have a raised to negative 312, followed by a raised to 212, and b raised to negative 112. So basically, we make the denominators of these three fractions the same by getting the LCD, which is 12. Okay? Then of course, from 1/4, this one right here becomes negative 3 over 12. Okay? Then, from here, those factors with negative exponents, so what shall we do with them? Okay. Okay, from here, we factor out 1 over 12. So, ang matitira na lang dito ay 8 to the negative third power. This will become a squared. And b to the negative 1, quantity raised to 112. And those factors with negative exponent, we reciprocate them so that their exponent will become positive. So that will give us 1 over 8 cubed times a squared times 1 over b raised to 1 over 12. And from here, we have, if we're going to simplify this, we will have a squared over 8 cubed b quantity to the 1 over 12 power. And from here, this will become 12 root of the quantity a squared over 512. That is actually 8 cubed b. And this is the answer. Okay, next. I think we're done with the first set of writing each expression with rational exponent as radical expressions. So, for our next presentation, we will have the other way around. So, this is the second set of examples. And from this next set of examples, what we're going to do here is we write and simplify radical expressions in the form nth root of x to the m into expressions with rational exponents whose form is x raised to m over n. So, we do this vice versa. So, reverse lang ito ng unang set na diniscuss ko kanina lang. Now, to start with the second set, let us go to example letter A. Take for example the 8th root of 49. Okay, so this will become what? 49 raised to 1 over 8. Then 49 can be expressed as 7 squared raised to 1/8. So this will become 7 raised to 2 over 8 or 7 to the 1/4 power. And this is your answer. Next, letter B. How about this one? Quantity square root of 6x to the 3rd power. Okay, yung square root of quantity 6x can be expressed as quantity 6x raised to 1/2 time raised to the 3rd power. Then from here, what are we going to do? So we apply the power of a power law. We simply get the product of the inner and the outer exponent. So at that point, we will have quantity 6x raised to 3/2. And from here, we can now express this to radical form. And the answer would be what? Okay. 6 raised to 3/2 followed by x raised to 3/2. Okay, so I stand it correct. So we apply the power of the product law here by simply multiplying 3/2 to the exponent of each factor inside the parentheses. So finally, the answer to letter B is 6 raised to 3/2 x raised to 3/2. And this is the answer. Next, we go to letter C. How about this one? The square root of the quantity 5 raised to 3/4 a raised to 2/3. Okay, so copying the radicand part, and we raise it to 1/2. Since we're talking about square root here, whose index is actually 2. Okay, so it's 1/2. Then, from here, we apply the power of the product law by simply multiplying 1/2 to the exponent of each factor inside the parentheses. So this will become 5 raised to 3/4 times 1/2, a raised to 2/3 times 1/2. Then simplifying this further, we will have 5 raised to 3/8, a raised to 1/3. And this is your answer. Okay? Next, letter D. How about this one? Cube root of the quantity 2x plus 1 squared. So, express this into expressions with rational exponents. So, this will become quantity 2x plus 1 raised to 2/3, which is your answer. Okay? Next, how about letter, okay. I think we're done with the second set of examples. So if you don't have any questions regarding those second set of examples, let us proceed immediately to the third and last set of examples. So for this set of examples, this time we're going to evaluate expressions without using exponents or radicals. So ano bang ibig sabihin natin ito? Okay, so let us proceed to the first example. Like for example, 49 raised to 1/2. Now, if we're going to express this in radical form, that is the same as the square root of 49. And we know that square root of 49 is 7. And at this point, ito yung sagot. Okay? So we just simply follow what the instruction is telling us. We're not going to use exponent or radicals to simplify the answer. And this time we answer for letter 8. The answer is 7. Okay? Next, letter B. 64 raised to 1/3. In radical form, that is actually cube root of 64. And we know the answer is 4. Next, letter C. How about negative 125 to the 1/3? Since the negative part of this given is not actually raised to 1/3, we can isolate that. We can factor out negative 1 from this expression. So, ilalabas lang natin yung negative 1. So, that is negative 1. Okay. So, pwedeng ganito na lang, no? Since the given is preceded by a negative sign, therefore, our answer will also be preceded by negative sign. And this part right here can be expressed in radical form. So, that is cube root of 125. And we know that the cube root of 125 is simply 5. So, the answer is negative 5. Okay, next, letter D. How about this one? Quantity 16 over 9 raised to 3 halves. Okay. So basically, we factor 1 half from 3 halves, so that will be the inner exponent, then to be multiplied by 3 as the outer exponent. Now, inside of the open and close bracket, we can evaluate the given expression. Okay, quantity 16 over 9 raised to 1 half can be expressed as the square root of 16 over 9, wherein both numerator and denominator are perfect square. Then this is actually being raised to the third power. Then inside, we will have 4 over 3 cubed. And finally, the answer would be 64 over 27. Okay? Next. Letter E, about this one. 125 over 8, quantity to the negative 2/3. So we make the exponent positive by simply getting the reciprocal of the base. And that is 8 over 125. This time we raise it to the positive 2/3. Then from this point, applying the power of the quotient law, or basically, kinuha natin ng 1/3 from 2/3, and we make this as the exponent of the quantity 8 over 125. Then the outer exponent would be 2. Inside the bracket, we have the cube root of the quantity 8 over 125, wherein 8 and 125 are both perfect cube. Quantity squared. So, ano mangyayari? Yung cube root of 8 over 125 will give us 2 over 5. Quantity squared. And finally, the answer would be what? 4 over 25. Okay? Next. Letter F. How about this one? 81, quantity to the 3/4. Actually, this can be expressed as 81 to the 1/4, quantity cube. And 81 to the 1/4 is actually cube root of 4th root of 81, then cube. We know that 4th root of 81 is actually 3, then raised to the third power, it will give us 27. Okay? Next, letter G, how about this one? Quantity negative 27 raised to the 2/3 squared. So, ano mangyayari? Okay, we can apply the power of a power law by multiplying the inner and the outer exponent. Okay? Or better yet, taking the denominator 3 and express that in radical form, whose denominator will serve as the index. So it's the cube root of 27 squared, quantity squared, and this will become what? Cube root of negative 27 is actually negative 3 squared, quantity squared. And this will become what? Positive 9, then squared, so that is positive 81. Okay. Next, letter H. How about cube root of 729, quantity squared? Of course, you evaluate the cube root of 729, that is 9, quantity squared will give us 81. Okay. Next, letter I. How about this one? Cube root of the quantity 0.729 squared. We can evaluate first the cube root of 0.729, then raise it to the second power. And inside will give us what? Okay. So, ginawang fractional exponent. So, 0.729 raised to 1/3 raised to the second power. Yun. Then, from this point, Ano mangyayari? Okay, 0.729 can also be expressed as 729 over 1,000 raised to 1/3 quantity squared. Okay, so this will become what? Okay, cube root of 729 over cube root of 1,000. Since both of these two are perfect cube, we can easily get their cube root. So we have 9 over 10 quantity squared. So that will give us what? 81 over 100, which is our final answer. And at this point, I've just finished discussing this topic, and we will see you next time.